at Focus Films we get 200 to 300 scripts a year. Terence sent us in his script. We immediately saw that it was something different, it was unusual, we like these genre movies. We felt there hadn't been a good creature feature for a long time, and if we could pull this one off, we'd have something special.
The idea for Surviving Evil came about 3.5 years ago. My wife is from the Philippines, so I'm a frequent visitor to that country, so I've got to know over the years the people and, you know, a lot of their cultural ways and stories and legends and all the kind of things that they grew up with. And part of that was the legend of the Aswang, which is their kind of boogeyman, if you like.
It's really interesting. Filipinos are very, very spiritual and have very strong faith, and but at the same time they're also very superstitious. It's part of their culture, and so I definitely heard of Aswang.
In the Philippines, you'd be surprised that a lot of people do believe in creatures like the Aswang.
I know probably for the Westerners it's or like, you know, it seems something quite far-fetched, but in the Filipino culture, they very much believe they exist.
I was fascinated with the idea of the Japanese gold that was buried in the Philippines, all over the Philippines, in fact, during the Second World War, which a lot of people are still looking for today. So I tried to find a way of combining those two elements, the legend of the Aswang and the search for the gold, into one story. So we have this small documentary crew travelling to a remote island, and from that scenario they would be involved in battling against these mythical creatures, the Aswang.
Your friendship, Rachel. I treasure yours, baby.
Now, on something like this, obviously, it's important to get the best cast that you can to really do justice to the characters in the story. As I say, they're not just ciphers ready to be picked off. They're actually characters, hopefully, with a bit of depth. And so we tried to get together a good cast for that, and we've been very lucky in getting together Natalie Mendoza from the UK, who's playing Chill, one of the Filipino guides. And Natalie has a Filipino family connections, so she was very excited about doing this. We have Christina also from the UK, who's playing Phoebe, the sound recordist. So two very good actresses from the UK. We have Louise Barnes playing Rachel, who's the director of the documentary crew, and Colin Moss, both very well-known actors in South Africa, and they've really brought something special to the whole enterprise. And we have Joel Torre from the Philippines, who came over from that country to play the role of Joey, and he's done a fantastic job, and we're very pleased to have had him. And of course we have Billy Zane, who's playing Seb, the presenter of the TV documentary that's being filmed on Mayaman Island. So, you know, we have a very international cast of characters, but a very attractive and talented cast, and they've really taken ownership of their characters and brought something special to the whole deal, really. I mean, it's through a whole process of writing it originally and then doing rewrites and so on and so forth, and during the whole of that time you see these characters in your head, but then actually seeing them come to life and as you imagine them to be is quite amazing, and that's down to the talents of these actors, because, as I say, they took ownership of the characters and really brought them to life. So, you know, that's going to come across on the screen.
I play Seb Beasley, who is a on-camera survivalist host of a show called Surviving the Wild, aptly named, whom I think differentiates in the marketplace for that kind of content by applying a degree of fairly wry humor, which is kind of refreshing. Most of those cats take themselves a little bit too seriously.
Smell, feel, taste of the jungle. Joe, I love it.
Come on, man. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Terence submitted a script that he'd been working on for about 3 years, which is very dear to him. He did something very interesting for the genre, which is to make a very character-driven piece instead of your, let's say, token body count kind of horror film, you know?
Seb, what are you doing?
Fine. It's a tradition in these parts to pay respect to the tree you're about to climb.
Climb, must you?
I've been wanting to climb a balete tree for as long as I can remember. They say climbing a balete tree is a spiritual experience.
The interesting thing about, Seb is he, I think they're in their third season of the show, and I reckon he's a little bored with it. Would rather be somewhere else, lost a relationship to this particular job, is good at what he does, but is kind of cruising through it. And when things get a little hairy, he steps it up and relies upon his skills and actually, does his best to, help the others.
My best knives, use them, don't lose them.
Seb, you should be resting.
I tried that, doll. It doesn't work. All right, distress signals, you know what I'm thinking? I think that's a big mistake.
Might attract the wrong kind of response.
Damn right it's gonna. Flares, forget about it. Little measly SOS fires on the beach, I don't think so.
Risky.
I say we cut some branches, we sharpen the ends, we make us some spears.
I play Rachel. She is South African, living in London and the director of a television series. Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Good to go.
Sound speed and action, Seb. I think she's quite a complex character. And dealing with her own demons at the same time as the actual demons in the habitat that they find themselves in. Okay, so not there.
Yeah, somewhere around 1, 2.
Okay.
Back there. 3.
And he drops on 4. She said she wants to do 3.
Rehearsal and action. Bang!
Engage, you bastards! Come on!
Bang! Bang!
Something like that.
Okay, cut
It'll sound
rehearsal.
more realistic when there's actually a gunshot going off, okay? Sounds a little stupid right now. She enjoys being in control, and there obviously are relationship dynamics within the cast. I think that's what's great about this movie, is that while it's a horror, the characters are really well rounded. So it's not just a monster movie. There are lots of really interesting dynamics within the characters. They're really fully rounded characters with their own issues, and we explore those, which is great.
We're locked and loaded.
Bastard mosquitoes are biting my face now. Cecilia's bathing. I'm surprised you're not there shooting cutaways.
I never let lust get in the way of my work.
Never stopped you with us, did it?
I play a character. His name is Dex. He's the cameraman of the crew, because essentially it's a TV crew that's landed on an island in the Philippines shooting a survival series, and I play the cameraman. He's a kind of wise-cracking guy who's probably seen a bit too much of the world, and he's kind of the cynic of the group as well. He's the last to believe that there's anything strange happening.
Come on! With shape-shifting demons that can't go below ground. I mean, listen to yourselves.
Then what killed that native? What did this to me?
Look, we're dealing with something savage. Something deadly, sure, but something real.
But he finds out soon enough when he's being torn to shreds. A film like this, you're going to be doing a lot of action stuff as well. So you're always going to get physical, and every now and again you get kneed in the bollocks. One thing that the director Terence really did well on this film, I think, is, and the producers for that matter, is putting together a really great ensemble cast. Because it's not just a bunch of people running around on an island being killed. There's a lot of relationship stuff happening.
Would be nice if we knew exactly what we were using it for. If we knew what we were up against.
Why are you asking me?
I hear you might know more about what's out there than we do.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Phoebe suspects that she's pregnant at the beginning of this shoot of the third season of Surviving the Wild. She's had a one-night stand with Seb, and it makes the ordeal fairly tricky for her.
Okay. Thanks, Rich.
And she's not particularly strong with insects and that type of thing, but she really, I mean, she's good at her job.
Action!
Oh, something just crawled over my ankle.
Probably just a tiny bug or something.
Oh, no.
Actually, she's right. That's a giant millipede, Archispirus streptosciga. They're quite common in this terrain.
And cut, please.
Cut, thank you. Happiness.
Good,
Lovely,
very good,
lovely.
thank you.
Terence is a great director. He has we've had such a short time frame to do this film in, and he's because he knows exactly what he wants. It's been absolutely fantastic, and he's full of energy and life. It's been great.
Subhuman creatures who exist only to hunt down their victims and drink their blood before eating them alive.
Charming.
I'm playing Joey Valencia, the Filipino guide who guides this British documentary TV crew in an island. And I'm also there for another agenda, which is very personal, and that is find the gold, despite the presence of the creatures.
What are we doing here? Peter, what is this place?
That's what I've been looking for. Come on!
It's really great to work with an international cast from all nations. There's this mutual respect among actors because you speak the same language. You talk about your craft, you talk about your characters, and what's good about this one is before we started shooting, we all sat down and talked about characters, and we really worked it out and went through our choices for the film. And that way, you could see in the film how ensemble the cast is. I had a great time. It was a great journey for me.
Terence, I met actually a while ago. He approached me nearly 2 years ago now. He'd written this film and he needed a Filipino actress, and there aren't many of those in London. So anyway, we hooked up, and I liked him instantly, and I could see once I read the script that he'd really done a lot of research and had also done so much work on the Filipino characters, which meant a lot to me, because normally, you know, if you're playing an Asian character specifically, they tend to be kind of mute or, you know, stereotypes, and both the Filipino characters are very full, and they have many levels, and I was excited about playing that kind of character.
Aking hiraw.
Hiraw? Hirang.
Kirang, sorry.
Hirang.
Kirang.
Sa halalay, muling nagbalik pa ang dating kahapon, tigib na ligaya.
So she's a great character, and it's lovely because she starts out quite almost not meek, but she's just quite respectful and reserved, and through the drama of the film she is forced to make contact with her survival instincts, and it takes her on a real journey, and something quite powerful kicks in towards the end, which is fun to play.
Action! Stuntwoman of the Year, Screamer of the Year, Vomiter of the Year.
Scheduling was the biggest factor for me because of all the constraints faced with doing a lower budget picture such as this, and you start finding yourself that the schedule becomes dictated by certain elements. So whether the art department is going to have a set ready in time for you to shoot there, or whether they're going to have certain props available to you to shoot with. So, and of course actor availability.
And there are stunts, and there are, there's blood and gore and big locations to deal with. So you need to be well prepared for that, but nevertheless there is always the element of things not quite going to plan, the weather, technicalities, you name it, whatever it could be, a snake dropping out of a tree, landing on the cameraman's head, or whatever.
So the schedule never really had that much flexibility, just in terms of all the elements we had at our disposal and when we had them. So that was a big difficulty, but we managed to overcome it, and through sheer perseverance and a utterly amazing crew and a director that was incredibly well prepared, we were able to get through it.
Our crew, what can you say? I mean, they were terrible. Oh, I just thought, no, I'm just kidding. No, they're a fantastic crew, really. I mean, we had people from Durban area, we also had people from Johannesburg, and we had people from Cape Town, and they all sort of convened to make the movie, and everybody worked extremely hard. I mean, Mike Downey on camera, and Mitch Gordon in art department, Mariano, wardrobe, Melissa makeup. I mean, they were all just fantastic. I mean, under very difficult circumstances, and not the most comfortable of conditions to work in. I mean, filming in the jungle is never easy. But they all stepped up, and they were absolutely behind the project, 100%, 110%, let's say, and just put in a fantastic job. So I'm very pleased with the crew that I've been able to work with here, and Chris, my first AD, was magnificent. So, I've been very lucky in that respect.
From the very first time I got involved with the project was approximately 5 months before we started principal photography, and we spoke at length over the phone, and I'd read the script and had found an attachment to the story, and from the moment we met till the moment we finished shooting, I just absolutely loved working with Terence. We had spent a lot of time in pre-production, scouting locations, looking for the right places, and scheduling and talking about costume and art department, etc., etc. And my one overview of Terence Daw is that I've never worked with a director that's been as well prepared, in that when it came to making changes on the day that we were forced into, he knew absolutely with 100% clarity that he could make those changes, and that there would be no negative implications when it came to looking at the footage in the edit suite.
I suppose with every director, you have to get to know their process, and he has been, unbelievable to watch, because he's very meticulous about every shot, and has prepared. He's probably the most well-prepared director I've worked with in many ways. He knows exactly the shots he's after, and but at the same time he leaves room to play, and he never loses his temper, and it's he's a lovely guy.
Oh, that's not working.
That ain't working.
Spear come around.
Bang.
Bang.
And then
Push him off. That's that shit. Okay, and in the meantime, action, Natalie. Cut.
What's great is that he wrote the script as well as is now directing the film. So I've had the opportunity to really work with the script, work with him with the script. He's not precious about it. He knows the story he wants to tell, but within that he's really been very flexible in allowing us to bring different stuff to the table and change little things here and there.
Good. Action. Alright, Cut there, please.
Cut there, thank you.
No, she's not. It's only pretend.
I don't know, he's still sleeping, the beggar, probably.
Oh, right.
There are enormous pressures, time pressures, and I think he's dealt with it incredibly well. He's always ready to listen and to kind of give you feedback with all the other things that are going on. He's always been really present in terms of being there as an actor's director.
Terence is a great producer's director. I think he's covers his material, he storyboards everything. He's extremely well prepared.
And when you've got an ensemble cast of 6 actors, 2 from the UK, 1 from America, 1 from the Philippines and 2 from South Africa, you need someone with a vision at the centre to pull the whole thing together, and Terence has very much led from the front.
They come from Philippine folklore. They are very, very sort of immersed in everybody's background. Everybody that grew up in the Philippines knows about these legends and superstitions.
But there's this famous story in the Philippines about a particular husband who goes for pregnant women, and as the myth goes, they take the fetus out.
We should split up.
What?
You're all safer without me.
Phoebe,
I don't have time for this bullshit, Phoebe. I'm the prize! I'm what they want! The thing that's gonna grow inside me. It's not true, Phoebe. They'll kill us all, no matter what.
Well, it all started when Focus, who I've worked with before, asked me to design a creature called the Aswang, which is a Filipino folklore, sort of the Filipino boogeyman. It was for a project called Surviving Evil. I went with a couple of drawings that I'd sort of knocked together and brought it to Focus and met up with Terence. So from that point onwards we just did hundreds of designs and iterations on the theme, and came up with the what you see now on the movie.
The locations that have been found here in Durban are absolutely excellent. Infrastructure's good, crews are great. It's been a hard, tough schedule. Mainly exterior shooting, not much weather cover. However, we've got through the somewhat sort of 27-day schedule, and the movie's in the can, looking very good.
Not to mention power outages, tick bite fever, poisonous snakes. Other than that, it's been a walk
it's
in the park.
It's been a delight, yes.
But,
we were very fortunate in finding our primary location was Kenneth Stonebank Nature Reserve down in Yellowwood Park in Durban. Just offered us an incredible variety of sets to shoot. We had our campsite, we had our village, and all of our jungle trekking shots were all done there. One of the problems there is that they have 150 zebra, which attracts an enormous amount of red ticks or pepper ticks, and they're well known for, if you get an infected bite, you get tick bite fever, which can be pretty dangerous and debilitating.
But I think the thing that frightened everybody were the ticks. They're so tiny, you can hardly see them, but if you get one of them on you, you won't like it.
Different insects, well, that's been something we've had to deal with. I am absolutely covered in tick spray because I'm so paranoid of being bitten. Just the thought of a tick freaks me out. Nothing else freaks me out. I can do action stunts, I can do all sorts of things, but for some reason when creepy crawlies, when they get that small and they can burrow into your skin, that's pretty freaky.
The tick in particular, which we've managed to try to hold off with far too much chemical spray in our bodies daily, and a little, so it requires a little bit of diligent checking at the end of the day and a lot of detail.
But we spend our evenings scouring your body for the little red ticks. I haven't done it yet, but you inevitably find 1 or 2 ticks on you. That happens.
We've been in some really beautiful locations, along with mosquitoes and ticks and zebra and vervet monkeys.
There was a few crew members that also unfortunately got bitten in some rather unfortunate places.
Yeah, but they built phenomenal sets. It wasn't just the nest, it was the village, the Filipino village that they built, the gun tower. I mean, that whole production design department was exceptional.
Okay, what we've got here is wattle timber. This is all the timber that we're using on the hut's construction. This is an alien plant in South Africa, and this is what we're going to use. It's part of the service movies are giving back, that we can help rid alien vegetation all over the country. So we use this, we get permission from the Parks Board to pull it out, and we pull it out of all the various parks and have a kill program with it. Another few loads going to helping save the planet.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of departments merit a special mention. I think Mitch Gordon, who led the Greens and later kind of took over the art department de facto, he was responsible for building the creature's nest. We brought it to South Africa, initially thought of building a model, and Mitch, in typical kind of can-do South African manner, went and found a tree and built the full-sized thing, which we then blew to smithereens.
Bit of a bang, eh? Nice fireball that, eh?
I think it's a wrap from the producers. Come to the movie and enjoy.
Enjoy it. Thank you.